What was the most fucked up thing you saw in school? Saw a girl stomp on another girl's jaw with her high-heeled boot for looking at her boyfriend at the next lunch table over. I heard she had to get her jaw wired. Saw a kid throw a pickleball paddle at a gym teacher. Knocked her unconscious. Blood everywhere. He was suspended for some time. Was an asshole. A guy literally pooping on a teacher's desk. A kid hung himself on a playground our senior year. I hear his brother found him. This all happened a week after two of the brother's friends, also seniors, died when they wrapped their classic Mustang around a tree near the HS. Made for a rough senior year to say the least. My middle school teacher did a thing where we could bring our pets to school. A kid in my class got attacked by a macaw after he tried to grab it off a desk so he could play with it and had to go to the hospital to get stitches. I was suspended and grounded for bringing a macaw to school. Mexican gang member stabbed another Mexican gang member in the neck with a pencil. In class. It was 8th grade. He lived. When I was 8 we were making cookies in class and they gave us square cheese graters to make chocolate chips with. Because they didn't trust us with knives, a fair judgment. Some kid was holding a few graters and pretended to be a robot. This girl shouted at him because he wasn't a robot and proceeded to take one of the graters and grate his hand. Lots of blood happened and then a pair of twins both fainted. I was in HS in the 90s. They announced the OJ verdict over the PA system. It was a rival football game and the stands were packed. A section of the old wood bleachers collapsed and 20 or so students went to the hospital with numerous broken bones, concussions, and lacerations of various degrees. During the same game, I saw a guy get hit so hard in the leg that it shattered and both bones were showing. Poor kid ended up in a wheelchair for the rest of the school year. I was in 9th grade. One of our classmates got drunk, stripped and streaked the lunchroom, gymnasium, basically any place crowded. The staff was afraid to tackle a naked teenager so we all got an eyeful. Middle school. I was chilling in the band room and I look out to the hall to see a kid with some sort of liquid coming out of his eye. Later I found out some kid stabbed his eye with a pencil. These two kids got into fight at my school. Somewhere during the tussle one kid lost his balance and on the way down threw the meanest uppercut ever. He connected on the other kid's bare teeth and pushed them into his gums. He fricked up his own hand really bad. Blood just everywhere and no teachers in sight for like another 3 minutes. A kid jumped over the balcony to try and beat the rush on mashed potato day. He broke both his legs. Did not get his potatoes. I had a Scottish teacher and an Irish teacher in 5th grade. And they were great mates. I got along well with both of them as well, so as I was leaving for the weekend I went and told them to have a good weekend. They told me the same. Anyway, when I got to school on the Monday, neither was there. Which was odd. Then the next day the same story. This went on for about a week. And I was starting to get worried. Then about a week after, we had an assembly where we found out that the Scottish teacher was a fugitive. What happened was on the Saturday after I wished them a good weekend, they then went over to Irish teacher's place, where they got into an argument. Scottish teacher got pissed and punched Irish teacher, who had heart problems, in the chest. He promptly died. Scottish teacher left, got his fiancée and fled the country, presumably back to Scotland. Someone had taken a massive poop. It was larger than a coffee cup in width and considerably longer. So large it was impossible to flush. People were lined up into the halls to see this monstrosity, including faculty. You know it's a small town when a turd calls that much attention. A kid clipped the tip of his tongue off with a pair of safety scissors after someone dared him to. A girl with bulimia tried to shout down a spiral staircase. But because her gag reflex was so weak she vomited from a great height instead. Oh, the splash. Some girl broke up with a guy. So he smeared his poop on her locker and pissed all over it. A couple fricking in the dumpster behind the cafeteria. For the rest of the year, people would walk up behind the dude crinkling paper and asking if it was getting him hard. Just to add a bit, 4 or 5 of my friends and I stumbled upon this event while we were coming back on campus, and one of them went to throw his trash away. It got around the school pretty damn fast. It's probably a good thing that I'm old enough that the smartphone wasn't a thing when I was in high school, because there's a good shot that one of the group would have been dumb and taken a picture that included a 17-year-old having sex. Someone's phone blew up in our school courtyard. Rest of the day smelt like battery juice. A girl was coming back from a doctor's appointment and wasn't there to hear that we couldn't get out equipment for recess. She opened the door, grabbed something and went to leave. The wind kicked up and slammed the door on her hand and she lost a finger. They rushed her to the hospital and they sewed it back on and eventually it was back to normal, but that was the most fricked up thing I had seen. In first grade, a boy pulled his pants and underwear to below his knees and laid down on his back. Then a girl spat on him. I don't remember why, but I will never forget that sight. A kid in my school year stabbed one of my friends in the back. Not verbally. I mean with an actual kitchen knife. We were 11. Didn't actually see it. But the most fricked up thing that happened in my school was the time a sophomore videoed a special needs kid jerking it off in the bathroom stall from above in the stool next to him. In my school there was a kid, or multiple kids, we don't know, who would poop in a urinal every once in a while. They were known as the urinal poopter. Someone made a meme with a Grim Reaper going to the doors template with all the bathrooms they had done it in. And the Reaper going into the last bathroom. The office bathroom. The meme spread very quickly and I guess some teachers saw it. Since there is blood in the meme coming from under all the closed doors, they decided it was a credible threat of violence. They closed the school for 2 days for safety concerns. Just a super weird story all around. Some dumbass kid stuck a pair of tweezers in an old outlet that didn't even have a circuit breaker, so IDK how he didn't die. There was a girl I was friends with who had developed early and had pretty big boobs and considered thick for a 5th grader. Hanged with a group of 5 or 6 girls. Most of the girls in this group were short, skinny, and the pretty ones of the class, so she stuck out from that group. During recess these 5 girls ganged up on her and pulled down, sometimes ripping her shirt, exposing her chest, and laugh cause they thought it was funny. She'd fight it and tell them to stop, but they'd do it even more, sometimes pinning her arms to the side so they could. She ended up hanging out with me more and finding different friends in middle school. Nothing that I personally saw at my high school was disturbingly fricked up. Just weird. Some kid smuggled in a bunch of onions and clogged all the downstairs toilets with them. Who the hell does that? Some kid kept pooping in the sink every week and they had to keep cleaning it up. One day I walked in the bathroom and someone had put poop on the wall. The troubled kid had a panic attack because of a teacher. I think he had some issues at home. He was quiet. Talked to no one. He always fought when people bothered him. He was something. Well, anyways, there was this teacher. She was really strict and got aggravated easily. Let's call her MRS. Well, we used to call her that, but she had asked him a question and he refused to answer. His head down looking at his empty paper. The teacher exploded on him, telling him stuff like, "You will never be anything in life, and do your parents even love you?" He sat next to me and I saw that he clenched his fists and started to shake. He tried to say something but it all came out to be gibberish because he broke down right there on his desk. No one really knew him, so we didn't know what to do. We all just sat there as the teacher kept on insulting him, not caring that he had started to shake. A nearby teacher heard all the commotion and came to check on us and saw it. She calmly talked to the still yelling MRS whale outside as we just awkwardly sat there watching this kid break down. We did nothing. I really wish I would have done something, but I was frozen in place. After MRS Whale calmed down, the other teacher helped the kid out to the office. We never saw that kid and MRS Whale after that. They said MRS Whale had retired early, but I don't think so. We, entire school, watched some guy jump from 12th floor. The boys in my class bred mold in one of the lockers. They managed to get milk so moldy. Some yellow fluid was all around it. We were in 4th grade and class just let out for a 5-minute break. I was with a group of girls and we walked into the bathroom. On the far wall was a giant ring of poop painted in the shape of a heart. There was even visible and disguised food in the faces that, for some reason, is burned into my memory. There was a kind of a witch hunt. The principal called out students in the hallway, one by one, to question the kids. No one confessed as far as I remember. But there was a lot of suspicion surrounding a boy who liked to talk about butts and flatulence. I'm not even sure that he did it. But make too many ass jokes in class and something like this happens. You are suspect number 1. I saw the PE teacher getting a heart attack during class and dying. It was freaking scary. Saw 3 little dudes try to jump this massive mountain of a guy in the cafeteria. He fended them off pretty good till the teachers, who were football coaches, managed to break it up. I worked at an American school in China a while back. One day, one of the school buses was on the way to campus from the city and there was an accident that students saw. A truck ran over a man riding his bicycle. The students on the bus witnessed the accident and watched as the man lay dying on the road. They were stuck in traffic and couldn't get away from the horrific scene for over 20 minutes. Kids were crying and traumatized. Most of them were elementary school students. There was a lot of grief counseling in the months after that. Edit, I had no idea so many people would connect with such an awful event. I'm sorry for all of you who have had to witness similar horrific accidents. In this case, which happened in Shanghai, SAS, in the late 90s. The man was dead on impact according to what we heard. May he rest in peace. Hope I was able to answer all of your questions. Many years ago I sat next to a kid in high school who went on to kill his mom. He would always bring in photos of homemade bombs from 2-liter bottles, flamethrowers from squirt guns, etc. I thought it was the coolest thing and was so impressed by it until later on, when I recognized I was encouraging a to-be murderer to keep being violent. A girl had diarrhea and was wearing tights and sitting in class, and the tights started getting really lumpy, but she didn't get up to go to the bathroom. So fricked up on a funny way. 2 guys were yelling in the hallway and it was about to come to blows. Guy 1 goes back to swing at guy 2 and proceeds to miss by a mile. Into another girl. Girl kicks guy 1 square in the balls. He falls back into another student. And then it dominoes into the crowd that had gathered around. The teacher that was in the way came running up and slipped on something and went into the air and landed straight on his back. I swear it was like something in a movie. No one was really hurt, but God, that series of events was timed perfectly. Watched 2 girls get into a fight. One girl had a bunch of ear piercings and was wearing so many hoops it looked like chainmail. The other girl got her on the ground, grabbed those hoops and pulled hard. I will never forget the scream. The rings didn't give, but her ear sure as hell did. Blood everywhere. The girl standing over her like a goddamn psychopath, holding a very recognizable ear in the air above her head. It was freaking Mortal Kombat in real life. I had a friend that was allergic to so many things he had to eat the same thing every day that he brought from home. I literally mean every day for years. He had a very bad day, failed a test, some things happened at home. We met up at lunch and he had 2 slices of pepperoni pizza. He told said today seems like a good day to die and proceeded to wolf down both slices. I had never seen him so happy. I walked him to the nurse's office as he ballooned up. He was hospitalized for 2 weeks. He never regretted the decision. There was a ginger vegan that would chew carrots up in his mouth and chase people around. spitting carrots at them. He ended up getting his head slammed into a bag hook in a fight afterwards. A giant hawk swooped down on campus and sunk its talons into the back of a squirrel foraging for acorns about 20 or 25 yards from me. Scared the bejesus out of me. He stood on it like a boss for a few seconds and then flew off with it. This was at like 7:30 in the morning, so it took me a while to wrap my brain around it. The guy walking in front of me spun around and said, "Please tell me you saw that."
Hi there. Look, if you enjoyed the video, well, why not go ahead and hit that like and subscribe to Reddit Stories. In fact, if you want to see even more responses to this thread, well then, take a look. There's the link in the description below. And remember, show some love to those authors while you're there. And I look forward to seeing you next time.